Log in into Oracle Fusion Cloud Supplier Portal as Supplier user and understand Supplier Portal features. So I'm going to go back to Oracle Fusion Cloud ERP and I'm going to log in as a supplier's user. So in my case, I'm going to log in as Adam Jones, who is the user for Supplier Midtown Computer Services. So I'm going to place you on hold for a while. Alright, so there I am. And let me log in as Adam Jones. And then you give the password, hit the sign in button. Alright, so I've just logged in as Adam Jones and I'm going to go here and log in into Supplier Portal. You see from the Springboard, you've got something called a Supplier Portal. So you click on Supplier Portal and let's go through a couple of features from here right from the top. You see at the leftmost side, you've got things like supply chain plan, wherein the user can submit the order forecast and commits, and then the user can also manage the supplier on-hand quantities. So if at all you've got outside sourced inventory item which is managed by the supplier, so the on-hand quantities is something the supplier can update right from the Supplier Portal. Then comes to purchase orders. You've got manage orders, wherein one can go in and manage the purchase orders. For example, in this case, the buying organizations will be communicating the purchase orders to the supplier. So this supplier user can go in and acknowledge those purchase orders, or if at all there is any communication required, he can do communication with the buyer back and forth by going into manage orders form. So you click on this one and then you can look for the purchase orders that has been communicated. So let me pick up, say, a legal entity, sold to legal entity over here. Or if you don't remember that, you can always do a blind search. Okay, so something like this. Hit the search button and it'll retrieve all the orders communicated to this particular supplier. You see now it is processing all those search result and momentarily it'll display it right here. So there you go. You see that was the order that we created today, 164106, and the supplier site is MCSUS1, and you can see that this order has been closed for receiving, whereas there is another order which is still open. So what you can do, you can click on this order and if at all it is not closed as yet, you can always update the order information as a supplier and submit it for buying organization's approval. For example, if you are unable to supply the line items based on the schedule, you can always update the schedule and resubmit to have it reviewed and approved from the buying organization. That is one way of communicating. Alternatively, you can also do other communication such as the purchase order acknowledgement from the Supplier Portal. So if you click on this particular purchase order, you see this one is already closed for receiving, but there are various other things the supplier can do right from the purchase order screen. You see when you go to actions, right here you see you have got the acknowledge button. This is used when supplier is specifically asked for an acknowledgement, and that time the supplier will not be able to proceed ahead unless and until an acknowledgement is given to the buying organization. So once the acknowledgement is given, only then the supplier can possibly provide the advance shipment notice to the buying organization for the goods or services he has shipped. And you see other thing, as I said, the supplier can edit a purchase order and certain things he can change and submit it for buying organization's approval. He can request cancellation of a purchase order, and he can view the change history, revision history, and document history, and so on. Okay, again, these things can be done at a certain stages of the purchase order life cycle, and certain things gets closed. For example, if it is closed for invoicing, at that time the PO would not be able to change it. Okay, so I'm going to click on done now. The other things can be done. Let's come back to the dashboard, and you've got manage schedules. So this is where the purchase order schedules are managed by the supplier. You've got acknowledge schedules in spreadsheet. So there is a interface with the spreadsheet is provided as a standard interface, and under which the supplier can manage the schedules and acknowledge them and re-upload it back into Oracle Applications Fusion Cloud. So that interface is also called as ADFDI. Then you've got manage agreements. So this is referring to the blanket agreements or the contract purchase agreements which has been signed with the supplier. Okay, so you can click on search and it's going to retrieve all the agreements signed with the supplier and their associated statuses. So as you could see, the agreement number is here, the associated supplier site, who is the buyer, and if at all an agreement amount has been agreed, it's shown over here, the release amount and the present status. Here you have got a list of blanket purchase agreement and contract purchase agreements. So if you click, for example, on this particular agreement, it's going to show you the agreement type as well. So the agreement can, certain things can be edited by the supplier and could be resubmitted to the buying organization for acceptance of those edits and approval. Okay, so as you could see here, you've got an acknowledge here as well. Certain times, apart from acknowledgement, signature is also requested by the buying organization. In cases such as blanket purchase agreement, contract purchase agreement, or purchase order, which is a part of the contract life cycle. So unless and until the signature is provided, the contract is not binding with the parties. So in this particular case, the signature is not required, but if it is required, then this checkbox will be checked. Okay, and these are the lines of the agreement. Fine. And as I said, again, certain actions can be done. One can edit this document and make certain changes as a supplier user and submit it for buying organization's review and approval. Okay, so I'm gonna click on done. I'm gonna leave it for you to explore this. Certain other features out here, if you come down, you've got shipments. So shipments relate to advanced shipment notice. So ASN stands for advanced shipment notice. So one can create advanced shipment notice as a supplier and send that notice to the buying organization to inform that certain goods have been shipped by a logistics provider or a carrier, and here is the waybill number, and these are the spacing requirement that you would be requiring, so the buying organization can prepare for receiving those goods in their warehouses. And what is ASBN? ASBN stands for Advanced Shipping and Billing Notice, and similar to shipping notice, but it also takes care of billing as well. And one can also upload the ASN or ASBN, and I believe there is a spreadsheet interface is provided over here. You see the spreadsheet is downloaded, and via the ADFDI interface you can specify details in that spreadsheet and upload it into Oracle Fusion Applications Cloud via an integrated interface, which is also called as Advanced Shipment Notice or ASBN interface with AFDFI. In fact, the same feature is there in Oracle e-business suite as well, which is also called as ADI, Advanced Desktop Integrator. Here just the naming convention is different, but everything is pretty much same in terms of the interface. Then you've got view receipts. So if at all there are receipts that's been processed against the purchase orders, that can be viewed under this form. View returns form is wherein if at all the supplier has returned any items against the purchase order, such as defective items or items that were broken in transit, then those returns can be viewed over here, and supplier can then request for a or the buying organization can request for either a refund or a replacement of those returns. Okay, again it depends on the workflow, how you have implemented your procure to pay lifecycle. So this is the form for viewing the receipts. Now I'm not going to go into the details of that because all these things in depth I've explained in a separate course in Oracle Fusion Cloud Supplier Portal. Now here you've got managed deliverables. So deliverables associated with your contracts, your procurement contracts can be seen over here, and the supplier can process those deliverables over here. For example, as a part of procurement contract signing, maybe the buying organization can request for some evidence. For example, if certain certification is required, then the supplier has to upload a image or a copy of that certification online. That can be added as a deliverable as a part of procurement contract signing with the supplier. So that deliverable uploading image can be done via iSupplier portal as a part of processing the deliverables. So that can be done via this form as well. Okay, so if you come down, you've got review consumption advices. It relates to consign inventory. This is a separate topic. I'm not going to go into the details of that. Something I've covered in as a part of my SCM courses. Invoices and payment, the supplier is given functions to create the invoices against the purchase order or without a purchase order, and that is something I'm going to show you in my next movie, how to create an invoice in terms of the purchase order that we just processed as a supplier user from Supplier Portal. Okay, and if the supplier doesn't have a PO, then he can also create a invoice without a PO and submit for the payables organization within the buying organization's team to review and process and then to make the payment. All the invoices that's been submitted by the supplier or that's been created by the buying organization can be viewed out here. So the invoices created by the buying organization against the PO under which this supplier is there, only those invoices can be viewed over here. Okay, or the invoices that the supplier has submitted can be viewed over here. Likewise, payments. Now all the invoices for this supplier that's been processed and paid can be viewed under payments over here. The associated status of those payments can be viewed over here. So if you click on this one, there is a form wherein the details of the payments can be provided, the search details I would say to be precise. So let's say this is the supplier and I'm going to hit the search button. All the payment and associated information are listed at the bottom of it. You can go and open the payments to see what's going on in terms of the payment. You see the payment number, the invoice number are listed against each other, and you can see the status of that payment and under which account the payment has been remitted, and the payment document and all other details associated with the payment can be viewed over here. Okay, you can see business unit, who is the payee site, the address, the payment amount, payment date, associated invoice, and so on. Okay, so that was payments. Likewise, you can view the invoices from the form I've shown you here. Okay, now comes the negotiation. Negotiations refers to RFQ, RFI, or RFXs or RFPs. RFI stands for request for information, wherein some information would be sought by the buying organization from the invited suppliers. It's a part of the strategic sourcing business process flow. RFQ and RFPs also are part of that. So RFQ stands for request for quotation. For example, supplier wishes to invite quotations from the supplier to provide against a specific demand or a specific requirement from the buying organization side. Say for example, they wish to purchase certain goods or services for certain period of time, say 1 year or 2 years time, for which they want to negotiate with the supplier in terms of their pricing and contractual terms and conditions, for which the buying organization will publish an RFQ, send it to the supplier, invite to the supplier, and supplier will send a quotation, and that quotation can be submitted from here. So the active RFQs in which the supplier was invited can be viewed from this particular form, view active negotiations, wherein the supplier can see all the negotiations in which he or she has been invited and can respond right from the screen. So you can search the by the negotiation number or title or by the closing date. Okay, and again, this is something I have explained you in detail in my course in Oracle Fusion Cloud sourcing. And likewise, you've got manage responses. That's the place wherein the supplier can respond to a negotiation in the form of a quotation, and they can also view the status of the quotation which was previously submitted. So as you could see, each quotation or a response is given a unique number. The negotiation, the sourcing negotiation is listed over here. It could be an RFQ or an RFI or an RFP. So the type of negotiation is something that can be seen over here. Okay, and any communication from the buying organization, those messages etc. can be viewed over here in terms of unread messages. So you click on that one and you can view any unread messages right from here. Okay, so again, this is an overview. I'm simply showing you what is the functionality. Details about that is something I've covered as a part of my Oracle Fusion Cloud sourcing course. Then comes actions from the seller. So you see, auctions are something similar to negotiations as a part of strategic sourcing. So if now these are reverse auctions, okay, wherein the least amount of price would be awarded or would be a winner. So these are reverse auctions as a part of purchasing or strategic sourcing. So any active seller auctions are listed over here. Again, it is published from the buying organization from your strategic sourcing module from Oracle Fusion Cloud, and all those auctions under which the supplier has been invited can be viewed under the auctions form. Okay, so these two auctions are presently listed, and any bids provided against those auctions are listed over here by this supplier. Against it's up to the buying organization to give permission to the supplier to see how many bids in total have been responded against a particular auction or not. Okay, again, this is like a security feature which is mentioned while the buying organization sourcing buyer is creating an auction in Oracle Fusion Cloud sourcing module. Okay, if you come down, you will also see a place wherein manage seller auction bids form is provided, which is almost similar to manage responses form for RFQ, which is where the supplier can manage the bidding against the auction. They can see all the bids that were previously submitted. Alternatively, they can submit new bids against auctions in which the supplier was invited. And then if you come down, you've got things like qualifications. So this relates to supplier qualification. From time to time, the buying organization will arrange for qualifying the suppliers on certain aspect. For example, whether a supplier is qualified to handle hazardous substances or hazardous items. For that, they may send a qualification questionnaire, invite the supplier to participate in it and respond to those questionnaire. So these qualifications questionnaires are something like RFIs or request for information. So supplier will respond to those qualifications, and then the information provided to the buying organization will be processed, and supplier will then be approved for a specific requirement from the buying organization and will be called as an approved supplier for that particular qualification. Okay, so details of qualifications or questionnaires under which the suppliers are invited can be viewed under Manage Qualifications form. You see there, and this is the place wherein the supplier can respond as well by clicking on it and then hit the respond button. Okay, so again, this is something I have explained in detail in my course in Oracle Fusion Cloud Supplier Qualification Management, which is where I have explained you the entire end-to-end business process flow of how a supplier qualification is handled in Oracle Fusion Cloud Supplier Qualification Management, how it is processed, how supplier responds, then how buying organization shortlists the qualification details and approve a supplier for a specific requirement pertains to qualification. Okay, again, details of the qualification in which the supplier was invited can be viewed from this form. Okay, now I'm going to skip this product parts. Okay, something related to the SCM side of things as well as the quality part, but as the name itself says, the product and quality management can be done from the supplier's point of view right from here in respect to the buying organization. Again, these are some things I have explained in detail in my courses in Oracle Fusion Cloud SCM, specifically in inventory management and details pertaining to the supply chain planning. Lastly, the supplier can manage this profile by going to Manage Profile, and any changes that they make will be submitted to the buying organization. You see, they can hit the edit button, make changes and submit to buying organization. So any changes has to be approved by the buying organization before it changes takes into effect, and the supplier would be able to change, for example, their bank account details, the payment methods you see associated, and any business classifications. They can also add certain details from this feature. Again, the level of details a supplier can modify or add is something which can be controlled as a part of Oracle Fusion Cloud implementation. So I'm not going to do anything. Again, this is something I've shown you in detail in my course in Oracle Fusion Cloud Supplier Portal. Feel free to take that course if you like. So this in turn is an overview of Oracle Fusion Cloud Supplier Portal and all the features that comes associated with